right, a pleasant afternoon once again to you all who have joined us on today's edition of the program Scoreboard Reloaded, right here on 32 FM 94.9. Well, we have interesting updates making the rounds there in the world of sports. This morning, you heard from 𝐿, the new manager for the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Chan Eagles of Nigeria. We are definitely, he has given us the right pronunciation to his name. And of course, we have on the show where he has highlighted the 4 things in which he wants to do for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, just to ensure that we get back to that pinnacle of African football and maybe to one of the most recognized countryside when we talk about football in the world. Aside from that, we have updates from England just before the games are set to go down today, where the PSL, they've not charged any club side there in English football for any charge in the year 2023-24 season. But we still have updates from managers across different locations ahead of the games are set to go down later this week. Ant Postecoglou, the Australian, is one of them. Mikel Arteta is also one of them. For David Moyes, the man who has returned to Everton Football Club for his second stint as the manager, we also have him in the news this lovely afternoon. Well, we go straight to Australia also to discuss about the Australian Open, the first major Grand Slam for the year 2025. Katie Butler, she is out of it. We have Jasmine Paolini also making it into the next round. And then we'll discuss about some African sporting stories as well. The Chan tournament, well, as it stands, it is set to be rescheduled to yet another month. What are the reasons for this? You'll definitely know that on today's edition of the program. Seated next to me is Peter, and together we will take a look at all the interesting updates making around today in the exciting world of sport. Good afternoon, Peter.
Thank you for having me, SAMIES. Pleasure to be here.
Well, definitely. I think we should just start straight from the home scene where we discuss about the first set of assignments for 𝐿. For the Malian, we'll call him a French Malian at this point, who is now the head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We know that the first set of assignment for him is supposed to be the Chan tournament. But as it stands, the Chan tournament, it looks like we are going to have a new date for the Chan tournament. And I look at the qualified nations for the 8th edition of the championship. What is this thing that for 𝐿, we won't get to see him before we see him in action with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Just the first thoughts on that before we discuss about the 4 things in which he highlighted that he's going to do within Nigerian football.
It doesn't make sense in the first place to throw him into the Chan team and allow him take those boys to Chan. And like you also said, Chan might just get a new date in the next few hours. We're waiting for CAF to come out with an announcement that the championship that we're hoping will happen in a few weeks from now will not happen again. Will be sometime in the month of August. And I think it makes a lot of sense. For those who don't know, you can't have Chan going on and you still have the 2 CAF inter-club competition also going on at the same time. And we know that Chan is majorly for the home base guys. So that is one. On the other hand, you were talking about the new head coach for the Super Eagles. And I remember here saying that one of the things we were told by a few people was that he might just get into Kenya and take over the job of Dan and Fidelis and take these boys to Chan. But I don't think that makes sense. But now we've got clarification that that will not be the case. Daniel and Fidelis will still be in charge of the home base. They will just be there to supervise and see what happens. Because in all honesty, we don't expect him to invite most players for the World Cup qualifying in the month of March from the home base Eagles. That won't happen. So I think that is well said, well thought of, and then we'll just wait to see what the other things will look like for him.
Well, in looking at what the other things would look like for him, well, for 𝐿, we have not yet, we've not been opportunity to the full interview in which he granted. That was in Abuja. But for 𝐿, he said he's determined to lead the Nigerian team to USA, Mexico, and Canada in the year 2026 and believes the way to do it is by improving the managerial structure, adopting effective techniques, imbibing aggression, and maintaining focus. And of course, we know that for the Nigerian team, how much more of a concentration do we actually put on the field of play? For all of these things he has said, is this a thing that every player, even every football fan of Nigeria, should look out for in his first set of games? And his first set of games definitely is in that 2026 World Cup qualifiers, Rwanda and Zimbabwe.
Yeah, one home, one away from home. And I'm hoping that what I'm about to say is what it's going to look like at the end of the day. Hopefully, he's been watching the Eagles play, because in that press conference I played in the morning for about 4 minutes, he spoke about offensive and defensive. So these are two things. We know the Eagles have not been scoring at plenty. We know the Eagles have been finding it very difficult to defend. So these are two major things he said we'll be looking at. He also said the players will be his brothers. Like he has always been with him doing his charge with the Eagles of Mali. Because don't forget, he also played football. So he's not someone who doesn't understand.
He played against Brownlee there.
Yeah, so he understands it. So I'm hoping that it will bring plenty of discipline to that Eagles team. I know we spoke about how players getting late, but believe you me, in our first game, you will see players getting on time because he's the new sheriff in town, and he's going to be having a meeting with them once they gather for that crucial World Cup qualifier. I know we'll be speaking to a few of them virtually, and just to get to hear from them. But I've said so many times, this Eagles is good. The only problem with the Eagles is a manager that will come and instill a formidable formation, something that will give the desired result, something that will wake the giants in these boys up to tell them, you can't have Ademola Lookman, have Alex Iwobi, have Victor Osimhen, have a Victor Boniface. I can go on with names, and these boys are not gelling, they're not scoring goals. You can't have a defender when you mention someone like Taiwo Awoniyi, and you keep conceding goals. Sorry, Olaino, I beg your pardon, Olaino, Ekong, Calvin Bassey. So we can't be having these players who are under the tutelage of fantastic managers in Europe, and then you come back home and will be conceding cheap goals. So there's a job for him to do, and I'm hoping that these are things that will speak not just to the guys he's coming with. He will also speak with Fidelis Elechukwu and Daniel Ogunmodeji.
Now, before we leave the Nigerian part of this story now, will Chel be given the free will, the license to invite his own players? This is a thing we've seen within the Nigerian Football Federation, where it's more like they have the final say on the list of players being invited into the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. You see players who are not performing with their club sides, yet they are being invited. And it's a case of being invited on merit and being invited down to popular demand.
That should not be the case. You know, if you don't, before now they were talking about the head coach of the Super Eagles, the technical committee will sit down and rub minds and see how they get to invite 20 or over 20 players to the national team. And we've also heard about it's never been the case. It is the NFF who decide. And you were here the other day when we were playing Amaju Pinnick, when he said during his tenure as the NFF president, he went to the chief coach of the Super Eagles, Gennard Rohr, and told him that Ahmed Musa must go. He's my candidate. He's my person. Put him. And we saw what happened in that World Cup, where Musa went on and then scored a few goals against Iceland and Argentina. So you can hear when the NFF president is saying that, you can imagine what they've been doing behind the scene. So I'm hoping they will allow Shell to do his job well, allow him to pick the players. If there's need for Austin Eguavon, if he's still there as the technical director of the NFF, also weighing his thoughts and let's align together. And I've never been a fan of criticizing any coach when you come up with name. I will wait. It is when we don't get the result, I will come and criticize the coach. So if he thinks the player playing back home in Shooting Stars of Ibadan, if it is Samuel Ayorin that can give him the goals to get him to the World Cup, get that boy onto the pitch. I don't care how you do it. If it is going to be the goalkeeper for Insurance of Benin or Iyimba of Abad that will be in goal and save a crucial penalty, get him into that team. Let him take us to the World Cup. So for me, I will wait to see what his first outlook will look like. Then I'll wait for the result in those 2 games in the month of March before I go past any judgments.
Well, before you pass any judgments, now we talk about the Chan Eagles. We are ex-Flying Eagles keeper 𝐃𝐈𝐒. He played for Enyimba. I could remember that, I think, 2 seasons ago. After he left Shooting Stars, he went to Enyimba. Then he left again, but he came back. And, of course, in the run of 5 victories Shooting Stars had in the month of December, he had a goal in that period. But right now, he has been invited into the folds of the Chan Eagles alongside Samuel Ayorinde. And, of course, we have 2 Shooting Stars players now in the folds of the Chan Eagles. I really just wish that this tournament can go on at this point, but you actually made a valid point where we have CAF inter-club competitions going on. In the middle of that, we have their club activities also. That's talking about their domestic league also in action.
Yeah.
But for 𝐃𝐈𝐒, who has been invited, can he keep up that performance? Yes, in which he is in, being a part of that defense line of Shooting Stars, keeping 5 clean sheets in 5 games in the month of December.
Yeah, the former under-20 captain of the side, well experienced, is back in the MPFL, and of course with Shooting Stars, with Chan now. So whatever announcement that CAF will come up with later today, or Mags tomorrow morning, will decide if these boys will have to go back to their club side. Don't forget, for us back here, the MPFL resumes on this weekend.
25th.
So if next weekend.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the Chan coming up in February, there's no point keeping these boys. If, from what we're getting from sources on the continent, looks like the Chan might be in the month of August. So if that's going to be the case, once we get the announcement, then the players should just be released, let them go back to club football. Some want to help the club to win the title, some want to push the play on the continent, some want to are struggling for relegation. So all of this will have to play out on time. But good news is that Shooting Stars, they've got all the award for the month of December. You can't have such performance and not getting your manager being the best manager of the month in 𝐵𝐃 𝐈𝐒, and you don't have one of yours goalkeeper who kept 5 clean sheets, 1, 2 away from home,
Yes.
1 in Enugu, 1 in the Kenya against Sunshine Stars,
3 at home.
and 3 at home, and you don't expect him not to win. So kudos to Shooting Stars for doing this. It shows that something really good is happening, and that is also good for 𝐵𝐃. But hey, we are just hitting the business part of the league. Part 1 has gone. This is part 2. Jungle don't mature.
Well, part 2, Jungle don't mature. Just in the words of Peter there. Well, we see what the future definitely holds for the Oluyole Warriors when they resume the second stanza of the NPFL season. And moving away from that also, we'll discuss about these important stories also. We are definitely will just switch our focus to the European scene. And from the European scene, we have David Moyes, the new head coach of Everton. Well, he's not a newbie. This is second stint. After 12 years, he went back to the Goodison Park. Well, that's just for the remainder of this season. Next season, Everton, they'll be moving to their new ground. But for David Moyes, well, he has described what it feels like getting the Everton job, saying that it is a job in which he couldn't say no to. I remember that this man actually made Everton somewhat of that name that's in English football for a while before he left to join Manchester United at that point after the departure of that's Sir Alex Ferguson. But let's take a listen to the words of David Moyes speaking about Everton being a job too big of an opportunity for him to turn down. The words of David Moyes.
As everybody knows, this is a different beast to me than many other clubs. Everton's different. A couple of weeks I didn't think there was any chance Everton could be in a relegation fight. I thought they would be strong enough to get out of it. I've come into the seat now and I'm going to back that up and say I believe that we'll be strong enough to stay away from it. But I'm not kidding myself on or 𝐷 else. We'll need everybody behind us. We'll need the players playing better, scoring more goals if we're going to make that happen.
Is this the only club job you'd have taken to come back into management?
Yeah, I believe so, because I don't think there's anything else which was really no. I've had other opportunities to consider other jobs. Quite a few since I've left West Ham. And I didn't feel ready for it anyway. But I always felt that if the job came up, and I didn't expect the job to come up, I really didn't. I didn't see it, and I think, to be honest, I don't think many people did at the time. But when I get asked about it this week, it was just too big an opportunity to turn down. And I want to try and show that I can go again. I think in football you always have to prove yourself. It doesn't matter who you are, you always have to do it. So I'll try and do that again.
All right, today listen to the words of David Moyes, where of course his new challenge would be against Aston Villa. That's tomorrow at the Goodison Park. Well, definitely we move away from that and definitely talk about another. Okay, before we move from that, I'm not sure we discussed about this on Saturday. David Moyes getting this Everton Football Club job, and well, is it going to be a case of getting the right job at the wrong time?
No, for him, in that same press conference he had, he said he's going to guarantee the Everton fans that your club is not going down, and that should be something that should interest them, because they don't want to play championship football in their new home. Also, yesterday, they have their rescheduled game against Liverpool. The derby will be coming up February 12th. And so we'll wait to see what they do before they move to their new home. But let me also say quickly that you were talking about 12 years ago, how he helped Everton. He also, remember, it was when Rodin was 16-year-old who gave him his debut against Arsenal. And then in that team, there was Joseph Yobo, there was 𝐃𝐈𝐒 we saw how he helped them to qualify for UEFA Champions League. And so he's a well-experienced man. West Ham will help them to win the conference. Trophy. For Manchester United also, he also won the Community Shield, in case you forgot, because they were playing against Leicester, I guess, in at that point in time. So David Moyes, well-experienced, well-grounded in English football, and so we wait to see how we can help Everton. And like you said, Everton have got a game coming up on Wednesday against Aston Villa, and we'll wait to see what he will do in his first game in charge. Don't forget the FA Cup. It was Linton Baines and Seamus Coleman that were taking charge of the boys for those FA Cup games.
Well, just as you've heard that from Peter, we go straight into another centre where Arsenal Football Club and, one of their players, 𝐂𝐈𝐒, has been subject to criticism right after the game against Manchester United in that FA Cup third round encounter at the Emirates Stadium. For 𝐂𝐈𝐒, a lot of people came for him and saying he doesn't know how to put the ball at the back of the net, and manager Mikel Arteta has thrown his weight supporting 𝐂𝐈𝐒 and has called for measures where all of these things can be avoided. That's in football. Let's take a listen to the words of Mikel Arteta.
It's incredible, honestly, and we really have to do something about it, because accepting that and hiding this, I think has terrible consequences, and it's something that we really have to eradicate from the game, because it's so cynical as well, and it's so dependent to a result of an action, and there is no any other story like this. When we play Ipswich, it was 27 of December at home, we win 1-0. Kai Havertz scores a goal, and the whole stadium after that is singing the Waka Waka. That's 20 days ago. Guys, what is the perspective? So we are all responsible, and all means you guys are responsible. Everybody is responsible for the narrative. Everybody is responsible for how we talk, and we cannot look somewhere else. That's a really serious matter, guys. And it affects him, and it affects me, it affects everybody that is in the industry in the way. And we can accept, and we say that's our job, yes, but there are certain limits, and the line has to be drawn. And we put a lot of attention on that about technology and what is next in football. The next in football might be that this is prohibited. It cannot happen.
Well, Mikel Arteta wants all of this prohibited, and definitely measures where abuses shouldn't be targeted at players.
Yeah, he is right. You understand the feelings of the fans when you are playing at home, have the numerical advantage, and you didn't make it count, and penalty shootouts, and then if you don't get to score, the fans will come at you. And it was the wife of the German who actually came out on social media to say all of that. And you remember what happened to Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho during the Euros when they didn't convert their spot kick and how the fans came at them. So this must be addressed well. So in that same statement, in that same guys also, he spoke about Gabriel Jesus who will be out. Another suspected ACL till the end of the season. Terrible. A team short in terms of playing staff in the final tour. No Saka in that team. And now Gabriel Jesus is gone. Kai Havertz not hitting the ground. Trossard not scoring. Martinelli neither here nor there. And then you begin to ask where would the goal come from on Wednesday where they play against Spurs in the North London derby. Just before we came to the studio, there was the news about Martin Zubimendi joining them from Real Sociedad for 60 million. And they begin to ask questions. Is that what they're looking for? Hey guys, it's for the summer, not for now. So hopefully they can get one in. And maybe, I just have a feeling that they might just get one. But see, these are two things I had a colleague saying earlier today. It's two things here. You need a striker, but you need one that will suit. You need one that is good. Not because you need one, you go buy one. I'm not making a case for Mikel Arteta. I know the team need a striker. They should get one, but they should also be careful. Not just put money and then the one will come.
If you say being careful, for the past 3 seasons now, where Arsenal has pushed Manchester City down to that's the Premier League title, where they've lost the title on those 2 occasions. I think Arsenal and the board and all of them should have actually been in the market. Okay, this is a striker that fits our playing style. This is a striker that fits our playing style. And now that they are short of attacking options, oh, these are targets. Let's go for him. Okay, so in that context, when you say how they fared in the last 2 seasons, how City won, City have got a beast in Erling Haaland. But if you check your numbers well, you realize that the number of goals Arsenal scored last season and the season before, you say that was not bad. City imagine now have a striker. City were only able to score 6 more than Arsenal last season and 5 the previous season. So it tells you that for Arsenal Football Club, they spread the old goals from Kai Havertz to Bukayo Saka. That's now Manchester City has a point man who gets the goals. Yeah. Just imagine our Arsenal, they have their own points. That's what I'm saying. Maybe for the board and for Arteta, maybe for them they will be saying, if we can score 5 less than a City who have got a beast and have got support who also can score the goals for them, maybe we can just, if we keep doing what we're doing and just change a little bit here and there or there, maybe we can just find the league. But now, the chicken has come home. Now they know that they must get a striker now. But where would they get one for in January? Do you go to Sporting Lisbon who want to win the Portuguese league? Do you go to Juventus and say, Dusan Vlahovic, can they release him even though the game over the weekend, the Turin derby, the Serbian didn't play? So where would they go to? Go to Turkey and see if they can get Victor Osimhen? Give me names. Alexander Isak cannot leave Newcastle now. They're also pushing. If they were playing badly and the boy was scoring and Newcastle not getting the goals or getting the points, maybe you would say the Swede would like to leave. He's scoring the goals. They are getting games. They're getting games done. So where would that striker be? Except they want to come to the MPFL. Just joking. Well, there are lots of strikers within the Nigeria Premier Football League. Oh. But moving away, give them names now, SAMIES. We'll do that after. But let's move away from that also and talk about Jurgen Klopp. Remember that this man has assumed his role as I don't know how will I put it now. For Red Bull. For Red Bull. It was announced as that last year, but he has assumed his role. It was January 1st in RB Leipzig's game over the weekend where they won against by 4 goals to 2. So for Jurgen Klopp, he has come out to say that if at all they sack any of their managers, he's not going to come on board and be a manager. No. We talk about Leeds, we talk about Salzburg, especially in Austria. They are doing poor. His former assistant, that was Pep. Was fired. Yes, that was fired. So leaders. Yes, I think the major problem they have now in terms of the manager is not doing well. I know many of them, but I think that was Salzburg. But like you said, Jurgen Klopp is not interested in taking charge. So let's take a listen to what Klopp has to say before we definitely get out of the studio.
Coaches that they will be in the clubs the next 10 years, but you know how football works. Perhaps there is the situation that one of the teams need a coach. Oliver Mintzlaff is calling you and saying, "No, Jurgen, we need you." Can you say that you the next 5 years never be a coach again?
I will not be the coach of a Red Bull team. That's a clear commitment. How I sit here and I as much as you can assume, I would give a guarantee. I will not be the coach, not a coach at all. But I'm probably the only person in this room who will get asked, where are you in 5 years, where in 4 years, where in 3 years? Nobody here in this room has a clue, and I don't have a clue, but the plan is completely different, and I will not be the replacement of one of the Red Bull coaches. I hope.
All right, today listen to the words of Jurgen Klopp. It would be the replacement to any of the Red Bull coaches. There are so many club sides. There is one in Brazil, there is one in England, talking about Leeds. But we quickly move away from that and just talk about some results from the world of tennis. The Australian Open, Veronika Kudermetova got into the next round with a victory. Katie Butler as well. We also have Osario Ons-Jabeur, the Minister of Happiness, we call her here on the African scene. And then we have Jasmine Paolini also getting into the next round. And then in the male category, that's the ATP. We had qualification into the next round also. You talk about, that was a shocking result that Rublev, he lost out to Foneska in 3 straight sets. We also have Alex de Minaur, the Australian, also getting into the next round. But this is how far we can go on today's edition of the program. Thanks so much to you all who has joined us on today's edition of the program, and I've done this alongside Peter. Do enjoy the rest of your day till we meet again tomorrow. Scoreboard in 15. I am SAMIES, your sports captain. I say bye.